25 years ago, John Woo's Hard Boiled was his audition for Hollywood. In 2017, Manhunt is his audition for the Sci-Fi Channel. I wish I was kidding.
I will be back with the truth.
Hi, welcome to the Silver Spleen. My name is Wallace Beery, and this is my review of Manhunt. Experience has taught me to keep my expectations low when I watch movies, and most of the time, I'm right to do so. Occasionally, I set them too low, and that makes for a pleasant surprise. But sometimes, no matter how low I set them, it's still a jarring shock to see just how bad a movie can be. Now, that doesn't mean that a movie is bad, it just means that it's bad for me. I wish that's the approach that I could take for Manhunt, but somehow I'm not really able to. The biggest problem I have with Manhunt is that it just looks and sounds and feels cheap. I'm really not kidding when I say that it's an audition for the Sci-Fi Channel. Manhunt is a mockbuster and an embarrassing one. The acting, the cinematography, and the dialogue are all cringe-inducing, not just by themselves, but especially as a whole. Who signed off on this? I know that John Woo movies have always been over the top, but there was usually something to ground the movie, at least in a sense you could recommend it to people. Manhunt's opening shootout is bad, and I honestly wanted to just get up and walk out because I knew it wasn't going to get any better, and I didn't want to ruin my afternoon or my feelings about John Woo. But I stayed because that's what I do, and because of you. I don't really want to go into detail about what I disliked about this movie because if I start, I won't stop. I will say this, though, in the interest of being as fair as I can be. With a cast from at least 4 different countries, English becomes the lingua franca of the film. Now, since only one of the cast is a native English speaker, the rest of them end up sounding less than natural, and as a consequence, less than convincing. Although, in fairness, they aren't necessarily less convincing than the native speaker who's just not very good at doing their job, which is acting. It's really a shame because most of these people are actually pretty good actors, at least in their own language, but the dialogue is probably going to be kind of stilted and overwrought no matter what language it's in.
I will be back with the truth.
The problem is that the dialogue really is no better or worse than the rest of the movie. It's all just bad. I'll let this one detail serve as a marker for how wrong-headed this movie is. If you're the most wanted man in Japan and your picture is all over the television and the internet, etc., etc., is it too much to ask that you would at least think about maybe shaving your goatee? Now, the opening scene of the film, which I already talked about, sets the tone both for the story itself and my response to it. Because when that first shootout kicks off, it's so just forced and fake and ridiculous in all the wrong ways that I started to wonder, oh, maybe it's a parody. And if it is, which many people claim about the entirety of Manhunt, I can only really ask 2 questions. 1, why would John Woo want to make this much fun of himself? And 2, if he's doing it, why should any of us feel bad about doing it too? I really didn't enjoy this movie, and I'm not exactly sure of how to articulate why. I just know that it was painful and depressing to watch, and if you see it, most of you will probably know exactly what I mean. Believe me, I have barely scraped the surface of what I thought to be wrong about this movie. But I really do want everybody to watch it because either you're going to enjoy it or you're going to see what I'm talking about. It's astoundingly just off-putting. Now, like I said, the only way for you to be sure about how to feel about this movie is to watch it for yourself. Go to the cinema. You might enjoy it, and if you do, I'm sincerely jealous of you. If you don't, at least you'll know what I'm talking about, and we can share the misery. But if you don't get a chance to see it in the cinema, don't steal this movie. Just because I don't like it doesn't make it okay to steal it. Wait until you can rent or buy a copy of it, or watch it on television or maybe an airplane when you're trapped, you know. When it gets released to home video, I'll update the description with a link where you could buy a copy. And let's face it, we're talking about money, so of course I'm going to ask about Patreon. I'm not rich like John Woo, and I certainly can't afford as much food as John Woo's daughter. But hey, look on the bright side. I didn't make any Chow Yun Fat jokes, did I? So please, for just a couple of dollars a month, you can really make a difference in my life. And let's face it, we all know that I would benefit from being different than I am. If you enjoyed my review, please tell me. If you didn't, please tell me. But please don't tell John Woo's daughter the terrible things I've just said. Believe me, it was very difficult to hold it until the end. But then, that's always the way it is, right? My God, how do I end up here? If you enjoy the channel, please subscribe. Thank you for watching. I'll see you again soon.